Hey, what's good, everybody? Peace and blessings to everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's taking care of themselves out here with all that's going on. As we come to a tail end, I know some places are opening back up. Just please continue to stay safe. Continue to do the social distancing as required. Continue to wear your face mask, hand sanitizer. Keep an eye on your elderly and on your kids. And just continue to treat this as if it begun, because it's not going to stop. It's going to be a while. If those who have to work, those who have to get out here and get it, please be safe. To those who has to get out here and provide for families or get in any type of back end work, be mindful, of what's going on. Be aware and continue to just be safe out there as you're moving about. As always, I want to say thank you to those who've been tuning in. I've been having a lot of positive feedback from the last couple of videos I've done. So appreciate it. Please continue to share this information, continue to like it, continue to subscribe to the YouTube channel. My Patreon, and make sure I get it right, account is almost finished. I'm going to start moving some material over to Patreon. Also Facebook, Rebuilding Community Trust, under my name, Daryl Brooks, or Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube, also Spotify, Anchor, and Simple Cash Radio, and some other venues that have been opening up. So I got a couple of videos I want to do, and also post a podcast that I've been. The other second half of it, I did the first one on the amendments, but the second one's going to be on more of a religious level. We had a huge debate about the different religions and Christ and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, that's going to be on Spotify and Anchor. I'm going to post as well inside the Facebook and YouTube channel, and also Instagram. So real quick, for those who are new, www.rebuildingcommunitytrust.org is the website. I'm going to do some updates to it. It's been a while since I've touched it. I'm going to update it. I'm going to post Armaud Arbery videos on there. I'm going to post some other stuff. I had an interesting debate. I listened to a podcast about some of the different things for self-defense tactics, domestic violence, and some other stuff that I've been listening to for the last couple of weeks. I'm going to post that, and I'm going to also add a blog of some stuff I've learned. I'm in school learning my master's in criminal justice, so it's some information that I've been studying and researching that is going to be beneficial if you check it out. So real quick, this video is going to be very heartfelt. I'm talking about the Ahmaud Arbery situation. We all know what happened. February 23rd, he was gunned down, shot unnecessarily due to, a quote unquote saying he was been robbing and doing burglary. So a lot of people have been posting about it. A lot of people have been talking about it, a lot of protests. And I just want to start off by saying that we got to get the facts. I mentioned it, and I put it in did a video on me running to support the cause. Got to get the facts. There's a lot of loopholes, and as trial is going to commence very shortly, it's going to be a trial on these two men that's going to happen. A lot of stuff is going to come out. I suggest those always forget the facts, find out what really happened. And as you're doing that, it's going to give you opportunity to learn the laws of where you live. And this happens in Brunswick, Georgia. So, you got the Ordinances Code of Georgia, OCGA, and those laws. Learn them. If you live in Georgia, learn your laws. Learn what is a criminal trespass. What is burglary? What is felony? What is misdemeanor? A lot of stuff has been affected with COVID-19. And, a lot of the jails and a lot of these different stuff like that has been affected. So this is more importantly to learn your laws, get the facts. I know it's emotional. I ain't going to say I'm not angry about what happened, but I always got to get the facts and find out what happened. Also, saying don't change up on people. All right. It's so easy. I guess it's black versus white. It's so easy to start hating people because of this. Because it is a constant thing where it happens so much. I feel some type of way. I'm not gonna say a lie about it. But at the same time, those who's been good to you, those people that especially if it's the opposite race, especially if white people, right, and people that in your life, if those you engage, and they treated you well, and you got the chance to know them, and you don't know everybody's full intentions, but if you know the people are good, don't switch up on them because of what happened. Racism is in every race. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, as African American people, We're getting a lot of the casualties from this, and this is why it's so important to learn what you need to learn and study everything. Be aware, be vigilant, speak out, say something, but don't start hating people, especially people that they're good people to you because of what happened, because it's not everyone's fault. You know what I'm saying? That every white person's fault that this stuff happened, and I know a lot of people don't want to think that way. Takes a little bit of grace to give people opportunity to think and get their thoughts together to say, I'm going to hate this person because of what happened. So real quick, I just want to put those two things out. Again, just I'm not going to touch on everything. Some things is public knowledge, so you can go ahead and check it out. I'm just going to highlight. I'm going to just hit a few things. I want the video to be hours long, but just really look at what happened. So first thing I understand, the video, first thing the video come out, you see first videos, I think is now 2 or 3 videos out. One is when he was fighting the father and the son. I think I want to get his name right. Greg McMichael. This is his dad, the father, and I'm not sure what the son name is, but I would just say the McMichaels. And Mr. William Roddy Bryan, he recorded the actual altercation. It was caught on tape. And basically, from what everyone's probably seen it by now, basically he seemed like he was attacking those two. He was out on a jog, and next thing you know, he's fighting for his life. And we get into the psychological. I discussed this with someone yesterday about the psychological aspect. If someone's running up on you, you're jogging. If I'm jogging and I got somebody pull up next to me with the guns out, the first thing you think of fight or flight. You know what I'm saying? Flight or fight. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at it as, what would you do if you got a gun put on you? So first thing, you're threatened, right? So now, depending on the situation, you're going to try to you're going to run, and I told the individual that sometimes, if you run, you run out of fear. You don't want to get shot, but then you fight. So you fight the individual, and depending on what you see on the tape, however I see it, it seems like he's attacking them, but he's really defending himself. And that's when he ends up getting shot down. You know what I'm saying? And that's a scary thing to think about in this day's time where, you know what I'm saying, you can't run and without, someone pulling up on you and trying to, put a gun in your face. That's just simple. You're running. But like I said in my little clip, I'm not going to, for me personally, if you're a believer in Christ, you're not going to have fear. It seems scary, you know what I'm saying? And I do think about it sometimes as I'm out and about, but I'm not going to have fear and not doing what I got to do each day because someone's has a mindset. They want to categorize it because all it is guilty by association. They want to assume that he robbed a house. So when you see the video, you look at the casework, you see that the Waycross Judicial Circuit, it took them 74 days. It took them from February 23rd to April 1st to get this case going, and it's been sitting. So you had, different DAs, district attorneys, Brunswick district attorney. They all they recusing themselves because of the association with Greg McMichael, which he was a former police officer investigator for the DA office, sheriff, basically. So that's a red flag there with the case because these individuals are connected. So they're going to knock on them and accuse. They're going to recuse themselves from the case because they want to misrepresent themselves by association. So about 2 or 3, you had one person recuse. And they forwarded the video to the GBI, which is the statewide law enforcement agency, Georgia Bureau of Investigation. And they started their investigation process through the state because you got local, district, and state. And then now, as of right now, they're looking for federal intervention, the DOJ, Department of Justice, the federal law enforcement agency to get involved to look at this case on a nationwide scale because of what happened, because it took 74 days to get everything together. That's a big deal. That's a loophole because you got to think about, someone and it's shame on Greg McMichael. I'm going to say it on public. Shame on you. You a former police officer. So you should know the law. You should know what is the OCGA. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the evidence, like you said, if you look at the evidence and you seen it, if you were there at the house where Armaud Arbery was, and like I looked up the OCGA, and I know it pretty fairly from my experiences. But if you look at the actual what is burglary, it's going to tell you, it's pretty much You got to base everything off a felony. It's vacant houses, railroad cars, dwellings, meaning building structure, portion thereof. Burglary, offensive burglary in first degree without authority with the intent to commit a felony or theft. When he or she enters into a home or a vacant, unoccupied dwelling, and no matter what it is, you're attempting to make theft. If you look at the video and you look at Armaud walking in, he stays in, looks around, walks out. Even the homeowner testified on camera that he felt that he did nothing wrong by entering the house was hers, and it was a construction site at the time. So he looked in the video, and it's proof. It shows that the video, he walks in and walks out. That's the same day timeline from where he walked in the house, walked out the house, didn't take anything, just looked around, and then kept continuing his jog. Where from that point from doing that to where the McMichaels pull up with guns in his face. So, and then, so him being a former police officer, shame on you for knowing better. And you acting on, because I understand, again, I talked about in my previous videos, you want to police your communities. I get it. But you got to know what you're doing. You got to know your laws. If you weren't there physically watching Armaud Arbery walking in the house, catching him in the act, probable cause, then you had no right to, you make a citizen arrest. And you definitely had no right to pull up with guns up. You had no right. And so you acting as a law enforcement capacity, obviously you still have that mentality where I'm going to act on my own recognizance using you, and you have the right as a citizen in the state of Georgia to make a citizen arrest but you have to have PC. If you, like I said, if you weren't actually at the house, even the 911 call says, what did he do wrong? If anything, I would report it to the authorities and have the authorities check it out. You know what I'm saying? If you actually seen him come out the house, and if you seen Armaud Arbery come out the house with something in hand, theft, then I get citizen arrest. I understand probable cause. But if you making assumptions, you're not really basing anything. You don't have no PC to go down and shoot him. So that's a loophole. The OCGA is clear. The felony theft, meaning he took something out of the residence, especially if you got evidence showing that he walked in and walked out, there's no felony being charged. If anything, he should have went into the dwelling, but there's still no felony charged. So that tells you right there, you don't have probable cause. He didn't violate any laws. So why are you committing a citizen arrest or trying to commit a citizen arrest, which obviously ended up him attacking him? Because think about it. We talked about it again. If someone pulls up on me with a gun in my face, shotgun, pulling up and chasing me down in a vehicle, and you're not a law enforcement officer, I'm going to assume that you're trying to kill me. So I'm going to either fight or flight. I'm either going to run or I'm going to fight you. Because I go back to I was telling this individual yesterday, I went back to the Jacksonville, Florida, where the police, he had open carry firearm, and a car pulls up and guy hops out with a gun. He happened to be an unmarked officer, unmarked vehicle. He was an officer undercover, but he didn't announce himself. He just pulled a gun out and started, going in on the guy, and the guy felt he needed to defend himself, and that's how he ended up dead. It's the same situation. You can't just pull up on somebody. You don't announce yourself. You're not a law enforcement officer anymore. So you can't go in and say, hey, I'm going to pull a gun out and just point it at you and think somebody you're going to think otherwise. It's going to think it's a psychological reaction. If anything, if you had suspicions, it may still turn out bad, but you want to come out with a gun, and be like, hey, I saw some burglars in the area. Do you happen to know, seen anything, heard anything? And you don't just go in with guns blazing. And that's exactly what this is. So now he's fighting you, probably beating you down, and then that just gives you right to pull a gun and shoot him. You had to finger, the video said you had the finger on the trigger as he was grabbing the weapon. So all you had to do, the finger's on the trigger, and he grabbing the end of the shotgun, you just pull the trigger, you shot him. And you're going to try to stand on grounds of self-defense, but there's so many loopholes. The question is going to be, why did you approach this individual when you had probable cause? As far as the William Roddy White recording it, he kind of did two things. He recorded it, you know what I'm saying, and with the lawyer, his representation said he was trying to record it to catch Armaud Arbery in the act, or get like a picture or some type of face to the name, so he can probably report it. But at the same time, you catching the McMichaels too. You're catching the McMichaels too, shooting and killing them. Whatever grounds that you're trying to, instead of you as a person recording. If I'm recording somebody in the act, I'm not going to sit there and just record it. I'm going to be, maybe try to intervene, stop it, or say something, call 911, do something. But you're just recording it, which is a good thing because you caught evidence. And then, you know what I'm saying, you're using it to catch Ahmaud, but you're really using it to catch it for the McMichaels because of what they've done. So now that's going to be used in court, which is actually a leg up for Ahmaud's family and the representation. So we got to, it's just so much to it. It's a lot of loopholes. It's going to come out in court. And all I can say is that we got to monitor this, because what the decisions made here is going to kind of mirror either the consistency of what's going to continue to happen, or it's going to mirror the changes that was going to happen. The protesters, the people that's saying this is wrong, standing up for what's right for this young man, exposing the criminal justice system, exposing the individuals that operate in it to the point where that you just can't get away. You can't use a law as a cover up to do what your agenda wants to be. You have to, the law, if it stands straight, it's accountable. It holds you accountable regardless you're right or wrong. If the law is going to work, it should hold Greg McMichael and his son accountable, because you didn't have probable cause. There's a lot of evidence against you. And again, federal law enforcement is going to penalize the district attorney for Brunswick and penalize that office because, again, why did it take 74 days for you to put this case and put the investigation to the crime? Where was the police presence? Call 911. Where was the police presence? You know what I'm saying? I would hate to think that Greg McMichael, since he was a former police officer, maybe something had to do with that. Where was the police presence? Where were the police? Why didn't he just call the police? They feel like they can handle it on his own. Citizen arrest. We talked about that in my last video. Citizen's arrest is designed to police the community. But you're not, you have boundaries for that. You know what I'm saying? You have to really be mindful on what you're doing when it comes to citizen arrest. You have to be tactful. I advocate for citizen's arrest. I advocate for policing your communities. And that's what they, in their mind, thought they were doing. But you just cannot try to act as a capacity with a gun drawn in someone's face. You don't know the facts. Unless you've physically seen this man stealing with your own two eyes, or you have camera footage, or you have witnesses, that's one story. But if you didn't see anything, you don't have proof, and then you have a camera showing him walking in, looking around, and walking back out, what crime is it? So, like I said, I'm not gonna get into the whole shebang. It's a lot of stuff. I just pray that justice is served. Pray that people really watch what's going on with this type of stuff. I know we got COVID-19. I know we dealing with people saying that this is taken away from it, but honestly, you have to be monitoring everything. You have to monitor everything. My takeaway is knowing your laws, knowing, what I'm saying, be mindful what we're doing with our kids, be aware, and hold people accountable, man. Hold people accountable, stand up for what's right, just like these individuals have, and just be really, really posturous on what is going on around you. This is why I keep saying it every video. That's why you have to be aware and stand up. You have to teach our youth, especially with our youth, because they're the targets. They're the targets. Anybody's a target, but they're targeting youth because of their vulnerability, because they're young, because they're more likely to be hot-headed. They're more likely to respond in fear and in violence because of just them not just being who they are. They're young. They don't understand. They don't know. So they're primary targets. Because I'm sure would you deal with an older man like that? I mean, probably so. But would you deal with someone that's a little older that maybe had that self-control, maybe had that, be able to see things differently? But a lot of the youth, they're young and they're primary targets. Young black men, primary targets, because of the stigma that that society has on them. So it's important for these review boards. It's important that, the neighbors, good relationships, just really, being mindful of what's around us. It's nothing. There's no perfect scenario. There's no perfect scenario. I mean, we can do all, and like I said before, we can do all the right things, even knowing your laws, even knowing everything. Something can still happen. It's just creating the variables so strongly that we can minimize this stuff from happening. Have an accountability system. Something like they did what happened in February. It took them 2 months. They raised hell. They protested. Despite of the threats, people are threatening. There's people actually threatening the protesters or threatening those in the area to protest. They're going to threaten them with death threats. I'm like, that's crazy. It's an unjust killing. But you're dealing with these the southern states and racism and bigotry, and that stuff is still alive heavy during the South down there. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen it too when I was traveling through certain cities and counties of Georgia and Mississippi and some of these other places. But you just this is why a community, especially if you got to team up with whoever, it's community involvement to make sure we're policing. Not, just being a lookout, especially when it comes to, unfortunately, black people, we have to stick together. We have to, if you know your child going on, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, but even taking a jog, you got to let people know where you're going. Taking a jog, you got to play, hey, I got my cell phone. Something happened, call me. Or, maybe, it's got to put things in place now, because you can't even go nowhere without, especially young black men, myself, whoever, can't go nowhere without, having to look over our shoulder to see if somebody going to track me down. Again, it's not living in fear. Like I said, for me, I have Christ. So I go on jogs often. You wear your protective gear. If you're running in the evenings or nighttime, you let someone know where you're going. You know your path of where you're going and how long you're going to be out. You stay away from the main streets if needed. You find somewhere you just take your time and you plan out your trip where you're going to run at, and you do what you got to do. It's not to establish fear, but it just establish awareness that this is the times we're living in, and we have to put more work in to be able to, fortunately, police ourselves and make sure we're safe. Make sure our kids are safe. And importantly, knowing the laws, knowing, okay, if my son or daughter stops in a house that's vacant, and they're looking around, and even with that, like, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be, because what if a white kid did it? Let's be real. What if a white kid stopped in the house and looked around and walked out? Would you have guns in his face? But if a black kid did it, you want to assume that not only he stole something from that particular home, you want to assume that everybody stole something, that he stole from everyone's home. So it's a white privilege thing. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's a white privilege thing. And if this what happened to a white person, it would be hell on earth. But it takes 2 months for a killing for an African-American young man, for 2 months for them to bring it to the light. And now you got to go through now the local, district, and state, and now federal investigation law enforcement agencies to look at this case and look at every nook and cranny. So you got to be aware, and I'm going to continue to do my part. I'm trying to get with people now to come up with ideas to where I can spread the word on how to streamline this process, to be able to pass information to help our youth. So how can we police our communities better on our own? And because obviously sometimes the police can't be trusted. And you got to do what you got to do for ourselves. In this case where obviously Greg Michael was a former police officer, so he knew the law. He had to know. He knew he didn't have any PC. He knew that the laws wouldn't be violated. Questioning is one thing, pointing a gun at somebody is another. So that was just an act that was just unnecessary. And, if anything, you should have got the police involved. And even then, I'm sure it would be even worse, because it's a scary situation, because the police probably couldn't have been trusted, and he probably ended up even worse. I just think that, it's more things have to be done. It's more boundaries have to be put in place in order to keep this thing moving, as far as policing ourselves and standing together. And this is where unity comes in, standing together, no matter the consequence, standing together for our youth. Because this is going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to happen. I mean, hopefully this will be a scapegoat. Them two will be made an example of, through the name of justice, that this is unacceptable. That's the actual goal. Because if it was a black man doing it, No problem. Done. Probably death penalty, 30, 40 years. Public annihilation on the media side of things. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. But this is going to really be a test in this case as the trial moves forward. Whether this is going to be, that people want to start to wake up that are thinking like this, that want to commit these crimes, they don't want to do things by the law. They're going to make them think, oh shoot, we can't do that no more. Or he gets a lesser sentence, or he gets free, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And then that's going to show really what the state of this country, as far as to minorities, really shows. Hopefully, you know, that all this attention from the president on down, we'll see what happens to those individuals. Also, if to say the case goes sideways, and they do, we got to still fight, because we got appeals. We got appeals court. We can take this thing back take it to the Supreme Court if we have to. A lot of the cases I'm studying that was back in the 80s and the 60s and 70s, they had to appeal to go back to court to the federal level and get this case proper justice and proper due. So expect that may happen, or they may cut it right down in the middle and do away with the whole thing and do right the first time, or we may have to take it to appeal level. But have to continue to fight to show the people of this country that we need to stand strong and get treated with the eyes of the law just like everybody else. If you can't get equality, get justice. Because I'm done thinking about being equal nowadays. There's too much trying to fight for equality with criminal justice, jobs. It's not happening. So we got to get justice. We got to get our fair share in the right way. And not saying go out here and act stupid, but get in the right way of getting what we deserve as far as justice. We should not be able to run down a dog on the street and getting shot up. I should be able to look around in my neighborhood. If I'm living in a neighborhood, if I'm a taxpayer, we military service members, and we fighting and putting our lives in the country, or we're a nurse, doctor, police officer, teacher, parent. It don't even matter what type of profession you're in. If you're a citizen of the United States, or you have your constitutional rights, you should not have to worry about running down a dog on the street without somebody trying to chase you down. It should not be like that. You're a taxpayer. You pay your bills. And that neighborhood, I'm assuming, is a decent neighborhood. If you were living in that house paying $300,000 on that house in taxes, and you putting your money where it needs to be, you should be treated fairly. You should be able to, you know what I'm saying, take a jog, walk with your dog, walk with your kids, and not worry about somebody chasing you down over something they assumed. They thought. That's what it was, thoughts. It wasn't facts, thoughts. And so, like I said, man, get the facts. Let's continue to monitor this case. Continue to teach your kids. Share the videos. If you don't understand citizen's arrest, go back to the previous videos I've done. Talk about it a little bit on citizen's arrest and what it actually does, what your boundaries are. Each state is different. Georgia's different from other states. You have your stand your ground. You just like in Florida, it's a different name. I think I had a name here somewhere in my notes, but yeah, open carry is another one. But I don't have the name. I thought I did, but it's pretty much like stand your ground, where if you feel like you need to fight, then fight. So you have the different things put in place. Again, it's just we gotta be able to do better when it comes to certain things. Prayers up to the Armaud, Arbery's family, to the mother, to the family, all the family members. Pray for justice. Let's continue to monitor the case. Please check out the website. Check all the information out. Please share, subscribe with YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Eventually, I'm going to be moving to Patreon, and just continue to pass the word, and let's just stay prayed up. All right. Be blessed. Peace and blessings.